Kalispera. Another Greek evening for you. Now, I did actually give a little bit of advance warning we're going Greek, and a friend made a prediction. She said, are you going to do goat in paper? No, I'm not. Well, I am. Well, I'm not. I'm not doing goat, but it does involve paper. Tonight, we're going to have lamb Kleftiko. Now, traditionally, it's goat or lamb. Don't know if you buy goat around here, but anyway, we're doing it with lamb. Okay, and it's going to be the traditional way, wrapped in paper. Okay, so we've got some lamb steaks. Now, first time I had lamb Kleftiko was in Zante, and it was actually like a lamb shank, and it's slow cooked, so the meat just falls apart. You don't have to do it on the shank, you don't have to do it on the bone. So we're going to do some lamb steaks, and we're going to chop that up. So you're going to want some potatoes and lamb, or goat if you want to use goat. You have goat. Okay. You need an onion. You want some garlic, lemon juice, olive oil, some peppers. I'm going to have some roasted red peppers. Okay. And then a few herbs such as rosemary, oregano, salt, pepper obviously, and some ground cinnamon. Okay. Oh, and then some feta to finish. Now, traditionally you finished it off with feta and cherry tomatoes, or small tomatoes. Don't need tomatoes. So we're not going to have tomatoes, right? It's a bit touch and go about these peppers, but they look like they're peeled, so I'll get away with it. So, first thing we need to do is prepare our marinade. And for that, we're going to want plenty of lemon juice. Okay, so I'm going to, and then you want to put your oven on to 190, right? Get that heated up. Well, I'm going to do mine, Kleftiko, into this, okay? And we're going to wrap it in the paper in that. You could do it in a roasting tin, entirely up to tray, whatever, it's entirely up to you. But first off, I've got a cut on here. This is going to sting. Oh, and the other thing is this takes a good 3 hours. So we're quite early tonight, okay? So what I'm going to do first off, I'm going to get all my lemon juice, okay? Oh, yes, that just got in the cut. Oh. So I've been watching the football. Last fortnight ago when we watched the home game, streaming it, wouldn't be good streaming again. Don't know what I paid for it. We won last time, 6-0. Lost 2-0. Right in the end as well. So, into the marinade. Ooh, I think I've got a cup in the other hand now. I'll fill that one as well. We're going to put, if you're going to do it in cups, about 1/4 cup-ish of lemon juice. Getting on for 1/2 cup, so a little bit more olive oil. And we're going to chop some garlic into it. So we're going to just, you can grate it, you can chop it finely. I'm going to use the garlic crusher. Okay, so that's me lemon juice in there. Oh, that's stinging. Get my hands washed. And we're going to use this marinade for both the potatoes and the, what do you call it? Meat. Oh, I forgot what I'm doing there. So, we'll add the oil to the marinade, to the lemon juice, right? And then I've got 2 whole cloves of garlic here, and we're going to, like I say, I'm going to crush them into that for the marinade. Now we're just going to give that a gentle whisk together. Okay. We're going to give that a gentle whisk together. We're going to give a whisk. And we will use half of that in a minute on the potatoes and half on the meat. So first thing is we're going to need to get our paper ready. So what I've got already done is 2 sheets of greaseproof paper. Now, one of these doesn't really go over the side of the pan, so what you're going to do is, notice I've done it long because we're going to fold it over like a castle. You could tie it with string. If you're going to do it in a tray, you probably will want to do it with some string to hold it together. But I think in the deep thing I've got here, I can get away with it. So I'm going to put one in east-west, if you like, and I'm going to put the other one in that way. Okay. Now, into that, we're going to put some potatoes. So I've peeled a load of potatoes. What I'm going to do in a second, when I've cleared a little bit of space, I'm going to sort of chop these up into sort of large wedges, all right? So let me pause here while I just have a little clear, so you'll see better what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to take my potatoes. Now these are quite small potatoes, okay, so some of these won't want chopping too much. And I'm just going to layer them on the base of the pan, on the paper. Okay. And then we will, oops, a bit peel on that one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add some of that marinade, like I say, about half of it, and we're going to toss it around in that, cut that into three, and we will then be adding the other ingredients. So there's going to be quite a lot here for two of us, all right, but that means there'll be some for tomorrow. Ooh, don't get down the side of the paper. My wife suggested I wear this shirt because she said it is sort of Greek. Now, I'm thinking, how the hell is this Greek? Oh, don't look Greek to me. Apparently she said, oh, I've forgotten, I suppose I shouldn't be admitting this on it. She said, don't you remember, I can't remember where it was in Greece we went, but there was all stalks nesting, and these are stalks on my shirt. Right. So anyway, there's our little bed of potatoes, okay, and what I'm going to do is, let me get that spoon, and we're just going to mix that up again, and I'm going to add some of that over the potatoes, okay, and then, oh, and that'll sting as well, and then we're just going to mix them potatoes around in that marinade, all right, make sure they're all coated. Ooh, now, next phase is we're going to season it with some salt. Okay, there you go, lemon juice in my cup, and now some salt. So, sprinkle some salt over it. Pepper. And some rosemary. So I've got about a tablespoon and a bit of chopped up rosemary. Sprinkle that over. Okay. And we'll just give that another little mix around. Okay. So these are uncooked potatoes. Okay. They will cook in here. So that's our base done. Okay. So let me just move some of this stuff that I'm not going to need, and I'll show you what we do to it next. Okay, so now we take our onion, which I've obviously previously peeled, and we're just going to cut this into sort of reasonably large chunks, and that's now going to get laid over the top of the potatoes. So just sort of crumble it up, as it were, over the top. So Kleftiko supposedly comes from a word meaning thief, right? Apparently there was a race of, some people say Turks, but I think that's just the Greeks being their normal self about, you know, the Turks, as it were, but I might be wrong, I don't know. But they were a tribe up in the hills, and they would, like, oi, let's go and nick someone's goat or someone's lamb and we'll cook it. but obviously we can't let them see us cooking it. So they used to bury it in like a fire pit and cover it all over so it's slow cooked underground and didn't give away the smell of the cooking, so no one actually knew it was being nicked. Right? So they were the cleft people, and Kleftiko is essentially an extension of that, and it is, well, if you think about someone being a kleptomaniac, somebody takes things, right? So that's apparently where it comes from. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take some of these roasted red peppers, okay? I'm going to take a few of these out of here. You could just use an ordinary red pepper and use them. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of roughly slice these up, okay, into sort of strips, and we're just going to lay that over our meat mixture, sorry, our potato and onion mixture. Now, we're pretty much then almost there with most of the ingredients. Okay, what we're going to do now is just sprinkle over that some of the, this is about just over half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Okay, now you could use cumin if you want, or cumin if you want, it's up to you. Okay, but I've got coriander because it was bland. And then again, we're just going to add a little sprinkle of salt. So our next task is the meat. Right, so let me again have a little clear and we'll get on to the meat. Just move me parchment back, you know, my parcel bit out of the way so you can see me meat. So I've got the rest of that marinade, okay, and I won't need that anymore. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lamb and I'm going to cut it into large chunks. Okay, now we're not too worried about the size of it because the whole point of the cooking process is that it becomes so tender it literally falls apart. Like I said, when we add it on like a lamb shank, literally it just falls apart. Okay, not leave that a bit, but never mind. Okay, so we're going to chuck this in here, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the marinade, and we're going to give it a good old mix around. And then the only other thing you're going to want before we wrap it all up is some more garlic. But what we're going to do this time, we're just going to chuck, cut that down, we're forgetting what I'm doing, then chop that a bit fine. We're just going to chuck 2 peeled cloves garlic in there. Okay, we've got that other garlic that's in the what's name, in the marinade. It's not overly garlic for me, to be honest. So, we're going to be serving this with some rosemary bread, which which if you're interested, there is another little video going up for how to make rosemary bread. I'm not sure if you can quite see it in the back of the shot there. Okay, I had to have a little taster while it was still warm. Okay, so we'll be serving it with slices of that, a bit like you get when you go to a Greek restaurant, well, in Greece and possibly in England, I don't know, where they give you a basket of bread. Okay, we took my nephew once, and that's all he ever used to eat, and then by the time his meal came, he was full up. So anyway, we now pour that marinade over the meat. Okay, and like I say, all we're going to do with that is just mix it all together. All right, and then when we're happy it's all been coated with that marinade, what we're going to do is we're just going to then layer that on top. Okay, I hate doing this, doing a Jamie, getting your hands in it. Right, but there you go, never mind. So I'm just going to lay this meat over the potatoes. Now, like I say, because of the depth of this dish, I'm not worried about tying this parcel up, right? Because we're going to cover it with a layer of foil. Right. So before we do that, I just plonk in there my 2 cloves of garlic. Okay, now the only other thing I've got left over there, which will go towards the end, is some oregano, and that will go in at the end when we put our feta in. So the next tip is to take our paper, and we're just basically going to fold this up. Okay, like I say, if you wanted to put some, probably can't hear me, this probably rustles like anything like it. You could tie it up with a bit of twine, if you want. Okay. But there you go, so I've now packaged that in there. When we had it, it was in like a paper bag. I did buy some once for doing a similar thing, something else, I can't remember what it was, but they were a bit too small. So that goes on there. And then, now, I could almost get away with putting the lid on this thing, okay, because we want a nice tight fitting lid on it, okay. Actually, my foil's not quite wide enough, so I think I'm going to do that. But depending on what you've got, use some foil, alright. Wait, not want that, save it for later, I'll just take that. Okay, so that goes, the lid goes on, and like I said, that now will go in the oven, 190, and did I say 190? It needs to be up to that. It's got to be 250. What am I talking about? Why did I say 190? So whack it up full blast, 250. Okay. No, sorry. That's the second cooking. Sorry, I knew there was a reason why it was 190. We're going to cook this, slow cook this for about 2 to 3 hours at 190. When we do the finishing off, we whack it up 250. It's because I ain't had a drink. Well, actually, I did have a drink while the football was on, but only the one. But it's only like early yet, so I haven't had another one yet. That's obviously what the problem is. So anyway, so we've got that sealed up, nice and tight. That lid's heavy enough. So oven, in we go, and that's it now for the next 2-3 hours. So I will check in 2 hours time, okay, and we'll see what it's looking like, and if it needs a bit longer, we'll leave it a bit longer. If not, we'll move to the finishing stage. So tonight we've got a big gap, all right, and we haven't got anything else to cook. So that's your lamb Kleftiko in the oven. Could be goat. If you're using goat, you might need to take longer. All right, I'm thinking with that lamb we'd probably get away with 2 hours. But anyway, I'll catch you later. Oh, Kalispera again. So we're just about there now. Now I'm drinking an Australian red. I have to say, some of the Greek wines I'm not a big fan of. I quite like Retsina, although whether you can buy any Retsina these days, who knows? All right. Well, you know, I mean in Tesco's. And I was going to get some Ouzo, and I thought, no, that might be too much. All right. So we're going to stick with the Australian wine. Yellowtail Merlot. Yellowtail Merlot, yeah. Very nice. So that's been in there about 2 hours 20. Okay. We've got a final stage where we're going to add some feta. Now I said you can, if you want, add some tomatoes at this stage. Oh, we ain't adding tomatoes. Don't like tomatoes. Right. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to dice up our feta. Okay. Now you'll also want some olive oil, a little bit to drizzle over the top. Okay. And some oregano. Try a bit of feta. That's a big one. Very nice. So, near the time when it's ready, we're going to slice up some rosemary bread. Have a little bread basket with it. But before that, we need to get it out the oven. So, this thing is going to be bloody hot. Right? Now, we're also going to want to tap the temperature up. So this is where I got a bit confused before. So put the temperature up to max 250. Okay, and this is for like browning off the meat and the cheese bit. So stand back. Goody heat coming out of that. Right, so here is the old Kleftiko. Okay. Probably gonna knock that off. Right, now I need to be really careful because the pan is going to be really hot. So we're going to get rid of this, but I'm just going to double check the meat's okay before I get rid of it. Okay. So the meat looks nicely cooked away in there. So the meat looks like it's pretty tender. Potatoes are certainly cooked, they're falling apart. So a little bit of meat there. A bit of pepper. Yeah, right. So what we're going to do is, if I can find my scissors, I'm going to be big pairs one. What I'm just going to do is just get rid of this excess, okay? Because for the final bit, we're going to cook that uncovered for about half an hour. And like I say, that's sort of to brown it off a little bit, okay, and to melt the cheese. So now, when I've been this service in a restaurant, like I said, it's been in like a bag, and as a result, they would just serve it up in the bag, in a bowl or a plate or whatever. Okay. Now, obviously, we can't do this because we cooked it all in one big lump like that, if you were. So, I'm just going to get rid of the paper. Okay. We chopped our feta. I'll show you what we do in a second. Okay. So, first thing first. Swig of oil. What we're going to do is we're going to drizzle a little olive oil over the surface of the meat. Okay. Now, if you wanted, you could add some salt, but I think there's quite a lot of salt in this actually, so I'm not going to add any salt, but that you're welcome to if you wish to. And then that dried oregano, about a tablespoon. And we're basically going to just sprinkle that over the top, okay? And then, whoops, I didn't realise that much left in there. And then we're just going to crumble, well I say crumble, we're just going to put some feta over the top, okay? And like I said, we're not going to be covering this up for this final stage. We're going to leave it uncovered, and we've whacked the oven up to 250, remember? And we are then going to just get a bit down in there, and now save myself a bit of feta there, do not need feta. Right, so that's now going to go in for about another 20 minutes, okay, and hopefully that then should see the sort of cheese start to melt into it, the meat perhaps brown a little bit, although it looks alright to me. So in that goes, okay. I do well on that one. So let's whack the timer on for 20 minutes, and we will then be in a position to serve up. So I see it's serving time. Okay, we're coming at 15 minutes. And it'd be 15-20 minutes. I'm just going to check, because obviously, like I've said to you before, my oven, being the fan oven, it does tend to cook things a bit quicker. So have a look. Actually, I think the old cheese is starting to go, so I think we're fast forward in 5 minutes. Welcome to the future. Right, so turn the oven back down to where I normally have it. Turn the oven off, and let's get this out of the oven and have a look at it. Alright, I've got some bread cut up, ready to go with it. Yep, look at that. And then, well, you can see that the cheese is browning off. Nice there. So let's get serving. So I'm gonna Like I say, sometimes go to a Greek place, they'll serve this up in the paper, right? Here, it looks like I'm trying to serve it with the paper. Hang on, get rid of that bit of paper. See. So remember, we want to dig down, get them potatoes out, another bit of paper going in there. Because we didn't do any kind of mixing or anything. So, get that little bit there. And let me just do a little taste for you. Okay, so here's our rosemary bread made earlier. It's quite salty, there's a lot of salt in that. Potato. Potatoes are nice and soft. So here's some of the lamb, or goat, but this is lamb, remember. Very tender. Have a bit of cheese, but probably burn myself on cheese. Bit of cheese, bit of potato, a little bit of pepper there, roasted peppers. For a minute there, I thought I was back in Greece. The only thing we're missing is the heat. Too bloody hot. But, well, in Greece, I mean, not now. Too bloody cold now. But there you go. There's your lamb Kleftiko, cooked in parchment with slow roasted potatoes. So, enjoy.